And you see that now with the Huron versus produce auction and the Elmira produce auction are two prime examples of that.
Yep, I've seen it.
Again, I don't think the producer in the end makes enough money in that atmosphere because it's still
Well, it's a wholesale market, right?
it's a wholesale market, so the guys are coming in and buying it.
Yeah, and that's not.
And because it's seasonal, like you're bringing, all they have is apples for sale that week. Well, apples are not cheap.
Could you make that retail then somehow? Could you take that raw?
The guys that are buying it are taking it to farmers markets and reselling it. So that's their retail. So it's kind of a part of that cooperative, but it's how to make it better in the future.
Yeah, the producer's not going to make money. I know what you're talking about. Because in Howard Farmers Market, we actually had an individual that wanted to do that. He wanted to come in and he basically was buying produce from other vendors that were there and then selling it. And we didn't allow him to because that's against the whole principles of a farmers market, right? But I think we need that model, but to increase the profitability of the producers as well, right?
But if a producer wants to increase profit, really they have to be involved with the whole value chain. So yesterday I went through, I had a tour of Constable Packers on a trip here where how 3P works. So it's probably 200 producers that own a packing plant with pork. They receive a portion of the dividends, yet as a cooperative, you know, there was some rough times, and that cooperative has to throw money back in when they're in rough shape. So there's always challenges to cooperatives. Now, looking forward, you know, how do you increase the profit share of that end product? That is a great system, really long term. So whether you can apply it to market gardening, possibly, you know, where's the extra value, or what will people pay extra for at the end of the time? You know, it might be in the manufacturing highs or however, you know, it comes back to that value add.
Yeah, and that's, you hit the pie on the head. Today's consumer wants everything pre-processed, ready to put on the table. That's right. At that instant. And whether that's the trend's going to continue, I suspect it is, because we're not going slower in society. Like the social food society movement is good, but
the skills aren't there on a daily basis.
Well, kids don't have the skills anymore. Kids can't cook anymore. They're not taught to cook. They're taught to rip open the package, throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes and eat it.
But I think in the future that's something that is changing and should change.
Well, it should change, yeah. And I think my generation now has young kids are more conscious of that, and we're helping that along. It's still something that consumers still want that ready to eat.
And as the trend goes, it's probably going to get worse.
We're thinking of a utopia in 2025.
Yeah.
How do we change that for the better, or if we can change that for the better, part of this? Because I would think...
Well, you make raw foods easily accessible,
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we need a starting point. I think there's all kinds of variables. We did have a really good starting point, and that was a network of primary producers, right? And I think we might as well set the scenario as well as being Huron County, because we're very rural and low population. So we have the potential to feed more than just ourselves, right? And so how does that look as well? So we have an artist in the group.
We could take a bunch of the smaller cards, and those could be the market gardeners, and then stick them on a bigger card to symbolize that they've been networked.
There you go, boy. Good. Thank you for volunteering.
So now we need a support system around this group, right?
Right, and then what that looks like, right?
Right.
So.
And does it become a little more multi-level? Do we have the CSA model in with the primary producer that also ships out?
A CSA model, because when we're talking about money, that's part of your risk sharing, right?
Yeah.
So do we want
somehow implement the transport change in with the CSA model so that food gets to the city? It's still
So do we want to maybe start with some of the inputs? Just brainstorm some inputs we need as market gardeners.
Like things need to help you grow.
Yeah. Can I have a pad and all the inputs? You guys can fire them off to me and I can.
Sorry, I just grabbed everybody else's seed and grabbed multiple
No,
different colors and stuff, so I just did what they were doing.
So let's just brainstorm if we're market gardeners and we're growing together, what are we going to need to do that? Seeds. Fertilizer.
Labor.
Labor. Is that the American spelling? No, oh, you are. It's Canadian. Oh, good. I never know. I know that you correct my computer enough times that it doesn't have a spelling.
Equipment.
And
Money.
big dollar sign, giants, giants.
What, different colors?
Okay, what else do we need? Input.
Land.
Land, yeah, we need land. And maybe knowledge, right? I mean, knowledge.
Any marketing.
Marketing and promotion, like in a way, they're two different things. So anything else that we need? So now we're a network of producers. How is there any way we can network some of this stuff?
Oh yeah, you can do
Yeah, equipment share.
So equipment and tools.
bulk purchase for some of your fertilizers and stuff, for sure, we get discount on that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna get really creative here.
If we're gonna look at extending our growing seasons and doing some capital infrastructure too, it's shared, right?
Share equipment.
And then the bigger challenge, well, how is everything? Again, it's cooperative then?
Well,
Everybody gonna increase their pie again? Or,
We're gonna be very
well, of
successful.
course I know, but does everybody get a portion of what they grow themselves and a portion of the crop? Where do you differentiate who gets what?
yeah.
Because what if I have 100 acres? I'm going to town and you guys are all 20 acres.
Well, you could set, you know, you might have to have like any, you know what I mean, we all have 20 or whatever. Like,
So structure is going to be
the structure will be,
right?
yeah.
What if you had 100 acres and we had 20 or whatever, right? And they get a certain percentage?
Yeah,
Well, what if you own 500 acres together and it's plotted? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have, you can do that too. You can
Maybe
have-
you'll
This is your plot, this is your, yeah. Like jointly, we own this entire 500 acres. Do you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And then there would be an opportunity. Yeah, like a giant community garden. Exactly.
So what do you call those? Like,
Commons out west, don't
Like
they? Is that
the-
we all live in a little group?
so
It's
like
a garden share.
like a community garden, like a community farm. Like what's the term for that? Like a collective farm. That's right.
Collective, yeah. Garden collective.
So those are kind of our inputs, right? How do we share the knowledge and consulting and things like that?
Well,
So that would all be expenses. That would all be your expenses, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
you run it like any sort of organization.
All of a sudden, if you have a group together, there's a lot of collective minds together.
You're going to have the knowledge.
So there's
already.
going to be probably just specialized in, all of a sudden, Ben's great in production and I'm great in marketing. So there is a
you have to find everybody's unique ability to
specialization.
And then if you still have lack, you can consult somebody in, right?
Yeah.
among the group. Just using these as examples.
You have to have some sort of board structure or something anyway. Because if you're all specializing, but you're not,
Well, I know
there's no structure at all, right? Then
there's an organic co-op in Quinty, and that's what they do. They pick out their crop list, and then they just kind of divide it around, and then they market together, right? So, I mean, there's different examples out
And
there.
actually, one of the examples in marketing, there's a collaborative person wanted to sell breeding gilts overseas to a Russian supplier. He wasn't big enough to do it. He was able to put a collaborative farm together and have enough breeding gilts to sell to that supplier. So really, when you look at it as market gardening, you know, there could be a processor that wants to buy so many apples, but one farm doesn't have enough apples. So there is additional dollars that could be made because of this.
So the coordination of the types of seeds that everyone would use the same seed stock, and everyone would use the same, produce the exact same, heritage breed, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, would that risk homogenization? Like everyone producing the same thing? Would it spread like diversity, like the 13 breeds of apples?
Because some people look for variety. Some people in apples, but other people look for that.
but you can still have a wide variety even within the
Well, yeah,
cooperative
yeah,
model.
you just
know
have
what I
to
mean? Like
decide.
you're bulk purchasing the bulk product, but there could be, the price tag, the price is being distributed, but it could still be different varieties and different. Yeah. It would require a lot of research, obviously, because one.
I can't write. Are you a good writer?
Not upside down.
Won't be able to
Well,
read.
I'll give you my spot, and you can write however you want.
That just has to say input, but that's as far as we've got. So we got to think about.
You can. Yeah, go ahead. I kept it warm for
Would it
you.
be helpful to like have inputs like maybe an arrow towards or like supporting the garden network somehow?
We can always, maybe we should have left that off, but we can always.
I think you need to put structure up here, right? Like the organizational structure.
So it has to be kind of on the top. Like,
Well, I think so.
like kind of
Well,
a governance.
supply chains are horizontal, right? But you still need a start to it.
And it's all about kind of fair trade, right? Like, I mean, if it doesn't work for one section of this whole group, it's not going to work for the rest, right? Exactly. Because, the one thing about the Mennonite auction here in Bruce produce auction, I think there's a real sense between the buyers and the sellers that there's a commitment to make it work. And through the use of minimum bids, that they try not to go below what's respected, that there is value there. So, Brittany, can you write your structure there, just because I couldn't keep it upside down? I could have unstuck it, but anyway. As we go along.
Unstuck your structure.
So do we want to talk about outputs or products?
Well, I have a question. Are we talking about this organization deciding what needs to be produced and giving out those tasks? Like you grow tomatoes, you grow apples, or is it just everyone coming to the table with mixed?
It might be, like that's something that we can talk about, what makes the most sense, right?
Well, yeah, because you can't have three people doing one. You know what? Well, unless that's what you need. You know what I mean? That's a big cost.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's different ways to do it. I mean, does that give you what you want, or are we, what does the network look like? Am I feeding the community of Grand Bend, and you're feeding the community of Howick, and you're feeding the community of Clinton, and you're feeding the community of Stratford, and the only thing we're sharing is the access that our community can use. I mean, that's one model. The other model is I grow all the tomatoes to be eaten in Grand Bend, Howick, Clinton, and Stratford, right? So what's...
Can I offer a different idea?
Sure.
Throwing it out. I don't know what it's called, but it's the so-called interrelationship circle model, where we put ourselves in the middle of the circle, and we have all the interconnected circles on the outside. It's all feeds into the center, so each part of it becomes the bigger whole. It's a little different than the horizontal food chain, but it's more of a circle collaborative food chain.
It's going to have to be.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah,
We're going to have a lot of little.
I think let's continue throwing our ideas in these sectors, and then we can
we'll put it all
all
together.
together.
all together.
Yeah.